session is Growing Your Business with an ANSB Advisory Team. I'm Therese Flaherty, and we have a team of board members and entrepreneurs from ANSB to be with you today and to share information and also have some discussion and Q&A. I'll be the host for our webinar part, and I want to thank Jasmine ever so much, and Marla Hamilton, whom many of you who are affiliated with PIDC know well. Marla and Jasmine are now old friends, and they have been helping us with ANSB since we began it, since we started it. And ANSB is now thriving and working with quite a number of entrepreneurs who are growing their businesses in the region. We're going to tell you about that. Let me just share with you the pictures of and at least the titles. I'm going to have, why is this? Here we go. Here are the pictures of the three people and our titles of the people whose pictures you see on the side of your screen. I'm going to ask each of them, Tom Graham and Betsy McClarney, to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their background when they talk more extensively. I myself I think I met Luis Tirado quite a number of years ago when I was the director of the Wharton Small Business Development Center for about 15 years. So I've worked with literally thousands of small businesses in Philadelphia and lots of growth businesses. And I am just very excited in the volunteer capacity the three of us are doing to be able to offer you something that didn't used to be available. So very exciting. I'm going to show you what our agenda is for the day. We will start with introductions, and I know part of what is valuable for you is to meet the other entrepreneurs who are here. So even though those of us who are on the panel have already met two of you, I will ask each of you to take a moment, introduce yourself and your business and any particular questions or issues you'd like us to address today. Do it pretty briefly, but there aren't a very large number. A couple more people are arriving, which is good. We should have time to understand that so we can tailor our presentations. After that, Tom will talk for maybe even 10 or 15 minutes about ANSB advisory teams, what they do, how they operate. I'm going to talk for a minute or two there about Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small businesses, and ANSB teams, and how they those programs often work together to make a big difference for Philadelphia growth businesses. And then Betsy, who is also on our advisory board and an advisor, is going to talk about her own entrepreneurial experience and make sure you pay attention to what her business does, because it's fascinating, as well as how an advisor and an advisory team can make a difference. But she's going to talk from the standpoint of most of you, of an entrepreneur. When and how does this really make a difference? We'll probably take a total of, give or take, 5 minutes or so. We'll talk those first 4 pieces, 30, 35, 40 minutes, but we'll have then at least 40 minutes to do Q&A. So lots of time to talk. And then we'll end up with, if you are interested, what is our application process for ANSB, and what are the next steps if you're just interested to learn more about ANSB or Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small businesses. And then finally, I'll note, you don't have to take too many notes because Jasmine will be sending you a PDF of our slides and some information about how to contact us. So you should be able to sit back and pay attention to what's most interesting to you. While we're doing this, let's do introductions. Now I can see what I'm going to do is to go through my list, because there are many different ways to see this, of our entrepreneurs. I'm going to allow someone to talk. So Bridget, you're going to be the first one to talk, Bridget Henry. And we'd love you to introduce yourself, introduce your business, and tell us what your questions are. And as I say your name, I'm going to mention that Cassandra Jackson is the next person. And I will do that for each person. When I ask Cassandra to talk, I'll let you know who the next person is on my list. So you'll have a little bit of a warning. And we are very interested to hear now from Bridget Henry. Could you tell us about yourself? And now, Jasmine, can we see Bridget at this point?
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. And if your camera isn't on, don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Hi, my name is Bridget Henry. I am an owner of a childcare facility. I'm located in South Philadelphia. I've been operating now for 10 years. Because of COVID, times are a little different than they were when I first started out. So I'm just open to see what's going on, learn new things, and just learn. So thank you guys for having me.
Great, thank you. Cassandra Jackson, would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Cassandra Jackson. I'm the owner of L&L's Discovery and Early Learning Center. And I have been in business for about 5 years, a little over 5. I am a former educator with the School District of Philadelphia for almost 30 years. And I've done this because I want to take care of the early part of education, as I was a elementary and middle school teacher. So I'm trying to catch the little ones before they get in school. So I am presently a residential, but I'd like to expand to a center. And that's where my head is right now. And I'm also trying to open up a nonprofit along with my lead teacher as my partner. So we have big dreams. That's and we want to get some more information about how we can carry out those dreams.
Excellent. And I promised you I would warn the next person, and I didn't do that. So Glenn, I'm going to give you 2 names now. Glenn Hyman will be next, and Luis Tirado, would you introduce yourself after Glenn has spoken? Glenn?
Hi, I'm Glenn Hyman. I have a startup called Be Fit for Life. Not sure if I'm on video or not. I'm having trouble with my Zoom connections here. But we are a fitness and wellness center located at 400 Walnut Street, recently opened back in September. And actually it was a reopening, as we unfortunately had a water damage event in June of 2021 after opening just 3 days prior. So it's been a painful startup process, but we're here to learn about advisory services and building a great advisory team. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome. You're welcome. And so Luis, and then after that, Michael DiPietro. And Luis, I'm going to allow you to talk. Yes.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Luis Tirado, Tirado Construction, contractor, commercial industry in excess of 25 years. Started from zero, and today I think this year, if we can talk numbers real quick, I think this is the right environment for that. We probably increased our business about 30% from the year prior. So we're in excess of annual sales. And going forward, what I am interested in is the advisory team is, business lines of credit, the barriers, and what does it take to get to the next growth steps, infrastructure internally. Those are the kinds of questions and concerns that I would definitely like to delve into more.
Great. And I think you'll find that an advisory team can really help you with that directly. And we can help other people more in a little bit further down the line. So I apologize. I'm not telling people the names ahead. Sandra, are you ready to talk? And Shira, you would be after that. Would that work for you? Sandra, are you ready? And I'm going to give you that. No, wait a minute. Oh, what's happening? Now I'm not seeing Sandra.
She's
she
here,
is.
Therese. Yes,
Great.
she's
Thank
right
you.
here. I got you.
Thank you.
And
Sandra?
Sandra, we just need you to unmute. And if you're having technical difficulties or unable to unmute, we can come right back to you, Sandra. Or feel free to introduce yourself in the chat or Q&A box. Okay, we'll come back to Sandra. Therese, we can move on to the next participant.
Shira, I'm going to allow you to talk, and then I'm going to, I think we may be almost done.
Yes.
So, Shira?
Hi, I'm an artist, and I do all kinds of crafts with a nature theme. And my best sellers so far have been soap that looks like crystals. And I sell some resin products like coasters and soap dishes and things like that. And it's all with a nature theme. And I was doing it as a hobby. I was working full time in a preschool actually the last 5 years. So I've been making a lot of art and just kind of selling it, not making any profit. And then this year I quit the job at the school to focus on the art. So I'm just trying to get everything together. I still have to do the fictitious name form and the EIN and everything. So I'm looking at 2023 to get everything legally established.
Great. Great. Excellent. And Sandra, are you able to speak now, or I think we've lost Sandra, have we?
She's still here. If Sandra, if you're able to hear us, you should be able to unmute. And if not, no worries. We can always hear from you a little later, Sandra.
Yeah.
You may be occupied.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right.
Great. Thank you. So let's come back here. As we begin, I want
Therese, one moment. I believe we
sorry.
may have skipped a
Oh,
couple
dear.
of people. Just making sure and I may have missed it, if we received, I see Michael has a hand raised, so I want to make sure that we
would
allow them.
you
I
would
apologize,
you-
Therese.
Thank you. I shouldn't even try to do this.
No worry,
Would you
Michael.
please ask the people I missed?
Sure, Michael, you should be able to speak. And if not, let us know if you're having technical difficulties in our chat.
I hope it's working.
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. So my speaker's not working. But that's me if you can see me. If not, you're lucky. So as I said, my name is Michael. I own a company called Jibba LLC. Jibba LLC is a holding company based on a vision I had 12 years ago. It's comprised at this point of 4 manufacturing companies that do light assembly. One of them is named Penn Scale, that is celebrating our 100-year anniversary in 2023. So it's pretty exciting for us.
Congrats.
Oh, thank you. So those 4 businesses operate independently of each other. They all have their own EIN and everything, but they do share space and employees. And the PIDC literally 4 days ago allowed me to close on our new factory.
Well, congrats again.
Thank you. So we're very grateful for the assistance, and we are just about 3/4 of the way of setting up in our new 15,000 square foot facility. We also own another piece of commercial real estate that's leased out. So we have a couple of different feet in a couple of different areas. We're very happy we made it through COVID. We were growing about 25–30% a year for the last 10 years. We took a giant step back, but we did have a very good 2022. And although I hope that sounded somewhat impressive, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
You're doing
And
great.
looking to get some help from someone who might know what they're doing at this point.
Well, you're in the right place, Michael, and you're doing great. And congratulations on becoming a PIDC client again.
Yeah.
All
Thank you.
right.
Very, very appreciative and grateful for the assistance.
Of course. Thank you so much. And Therese, I think we have, and excuse me if I may have missed this, Glenn. Has Glenn had a chance to introduce himself? If anyone else is left and has not had a chance, we'd love to hear from you. Please raise your hand and let us know. So Glenn, we'll allow you to speak.
I think Glenn did.
I believe I already spoke, but
You did, okay.
I'm with Be Fit for Life
Yeah.
and the one that had the water damage. So
Yes.
I'm
Yes,
curious.
yes,
'cause
I'm getting my names mixed up.
That's-
Excuse me, Glenn.
No, that's okay. I am a little confused, or I guess normally with Zoom calls, we could see how many people are on the call.
Mhm.
We could see participants, but I see that that's not the case, or at least not at my end. So I'm just
Yes.
curious, how many people are on this call?
Yes, so for Zoom, depending on the webinar the format you're using for meetings, you can see everyone and you can see how many people are on it. For webinar format, which is what we're using, sometimes you're unable to see video, or Zoom has a specific function where they're not allowed to see video participants. And so we can't hear you though. So that is, that leaves us with, we have 8 attendees for today. And so we're excited to have all of you guys join us and we look forward to starting, and feel free to ask any questions you may have. You can use your Q&A box, raised hand function, and if it's working for you, our chat box as well. And we'll be happy to answer your questions throughout the session. So you get a lot more one-on-one time with our smaller group today. Happy to have you.
Happy to have everyone. Welcome. I should also say that an ANSB advisory team is going to be a step that some of you will be working towards. You may not be ready for it yet, but we'll talk about what the help is in the area where you can get some help to get to the point of an ASB advisory team. And we'll talk about the 10K SB, Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses, which is a real feeder to getting an advisory team. And we'll also talk about some resources that can help people who are just starting up, like Shira, who's getting registered and so on. And we'll be happy, I in particular will be happy to talk with you individually later so that we can really make sure that we're getting you to the right support system here in the city. Okay, so as you can see with our agenda, we're going to move into Tom talking about the program overall.
Excellent.
No, I'm going to be able to do this. Wait a second. There we go.
All right. Can you hear me, Therese?
I can.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Therese, and thank you, Jasmine, for putting this this event together here and giving us at ANSB, a little, a couple of minutes to share, what we're doing, who we are, and how we are helping small businesses in the area here. So.
And Tom, I should have reminded you, we hope that you'll tell us a little bit about your own business background.
Of course, absolutely. So I am with Bank of America Private Bank. I've been here for about 7 years now. And my job at the private bank within Bank of America is I run a small team of subject matter experts. And we take care of essentially everything financial for our high net worth clients and their families. So think asset management. So we have CFAs, our portfolio managers on our team here who manage our clients' assets on a discretionary basis. Then on the other side of the balance sheet, we provide various lending products and lending solutions. So everything from high-end mortgages to investment commercial real estate to personal lines of credit. And then we dabble in some specialty asset financing, such as financing for yachts, for personal aircraft, fine art, things of that nature. And we also work with our clients in regards to their estate planning, transfer of wealth strategies, tax strategies, and in addition to their day-to-day banking. So that is what we're doing during the day. And I live in Montgomery County here with my wife and 5 kids. So they keep me very, very busy. In regards to ANSB here, I wanted to kind of share a little bit about, kind of our team and our network. So, who are we? Who's NSB? What do we do? We're essentially a group of individuals, and we all have different skill sets, different areas of expertise, and we provide essentially small business owners with advisory teams. So, what's an advisory team? So we get to know the business owner, and we learn all about their challenges, their opportunities, and we put together a team with the individuals that have skill sets and experiences that they'll essentially share with the business owner. So all different types of backgrounds based on the opportunities and the challenges that the business owner is faced with. So think marketing or branding, finance, banking, strategy, operations, lawyers, CPAs. We even have folks who have backgrounds in mergers and acquisitions in that space. So a very wide range of professionals. And essentially our ultimate goal is to identify areas for growth and help the business get to the next level. You want to go to slide 2 there? So, we mentioned a little bit about, what the advisory team is, and I think it's important to kind of share, how we fit in the environment in terms of what options are available for business owners. So if you look on the right side of the screen there, obviously everybody's familiar with external consultants, right? Think about like 3 different buckets here. External consultants being one of them, where you're going to, hire the CEO or the business owner is going to hire these consultants to work in the business. And please understand, I'm not we don't want to say, one's better than the other. They all come with different pros and cons, but I think it's important to understand the different options that are out there. In addition to external consultants, we have a board of directors. Obviously, everybody's familiar with board of directors for large corporations, publicly owned corporations, but there are some private companies as well where a board of directors may make sense in some situations. And then we fill in, we're happy with what we do in regards to advisory teams as we advise the CEO or the business owner. And it'll be comprised of anywhere from 3, 4, 5, or 6 business leaders, again, based on what the needs are for the business.
Could I add, Tom, just realizing that a number of people on this call are going to be earlier, they're at an earlier stage in their business than probably many of the people for whom we devised this slide. So I might almost say these are options for outside support once you're fairly well established. But there are other options if you're a new business owner or you're starting up. And those are other programs that we'll talk about at the end.
Right. Very good. Next slide there.
You want to go to the next?
Yeah. All right. So the biggest, we list some general benefits here. The biggest one that I will say, and the feedback that we've gotten from a lot of business owner is that we just serve as a sounding board for the business owner and the CEO. There's going to be many issues that come up on a day-to-day basis that the business owner wants to share with somebody, but they don't really have somebody to go to or a team to go to. With the advisory team, they have an established group of individuals with various backgrounds who are looking out for the best interest of the business owner. Some of those issues you may not want to share with your employees. Maybe you have a network of within your industry. Maybe you don't want to share some of those trade secrets with them. So that's where the advisory team comes in to provide, in my opinion, a great deal of benefit for the business owner. On the other side of the page, you notice the first bullet point for a specific benefit. The CEO is working on the business and not in the business. I think that's something that's worth diving in a little deeper, where we see many business owners where they're let's say they're several years in, they wear several different hats for the business, and they've reached a point where they need to take a step back. They need to put together a management team. They need to give up some of their day-to-day operations to the key players with the business. And we allow them to, encourage them to work on the business, to look for, to fine-tune their strategy, to look for other areas of growth. And again, that leads back to we're being utilized as a sounding board for the business owner. Another thing I will mention, if you see below highlight, is the confidentiality. That's something that's extremely important, and it deserves a little more attention. All of your advisory panel members, your team members, are going to sign confidentiality agreements. So you have nothing to worry about in terms of your secrets getting out of the room, because you're going to have some pretty specific conversations, and you don't want the wrong ears to hear those conversations. Next slide, please. All right. So in terms of the framework, this is going to be roughly a year-long engagement. Broken down into quarterly meetings. Those quarterly meetings will be the meat and potatoes of your engagement with your advisory team. Those are usually 2+ hour meetings, and they'll all be determined at the very early onset of your advisory team engagement. You will work very closely with a mentor who will be carefully selected for you. It will be your main point of contact, essentially, and they'll help set the agenda just to make sure that we are diving into the correct topics and that we're going in a direction that is beneficial for the business and the business owner. In between those quarterly meetings, we're going to have check-ins, we call them, which are traditionally Zoom meetings. They're going to last about an hour, and that's a good opportunity for everyone, for the business owner, to kind of report back on some of the homework or some of the reports, or some of the strategies that may have been implemented since the last quarterly meeting. And what I'll also say is, yes, there is this framework in place, but my experience with the other advisory teams in the past, you're going to have direct access to all members of the team. We believe that we have a pretty good bench of professionals, and they're always just a phone call away, whether it's a phone call or a cup of coffee or a drink, always willing and able to provide their ear or some insight. In regards to, let's go down to the key agenda items, again, with the focus of each meeting. So there's going to be, you'll notice somewhat of a cadence as the meetings get going in regards to the, reviewing your financials, the homework that I mentioned, and just seeing if there's any new updates in regards to various aspects of the business. And then we'll go to the next slide. So is the team, is an advisory team right for you? And as Therese mentioned, the business owners on this call are all at different stages and of your journey. We're very happy to have one-on-one conversations with you to see if ANSB is the right option for you. And if it is, great, we'll move forward. If not, like Therese mentioned, there's many other options that are available, and we have some contacts. We'd be happy to put you in the right direction. Next slide there. Again, the confidentiality thing is something that we want to stress because you're going to have some in-depth conversations. Maybe it's something that you've never had with anybody else previously in regards to strategy, to sales, operations. How the sausage is made, so to speak. So that's something that we want to make sure the business owner is comfortable with their team. And we put a lot of effort into. We're in the process of putting together several teams right now, and it's something that we just don't plug and play. We don't just put anybody on any panel. We want to make sure that it's a good fit, both with their area of expertise in the need that the business has, but also with the personality with the business owner and the advisory board. And here are some kind of final bullet points that I'd like to go through here. If you can read through, you know, the start from the top here. Oh, I just blocked. Are you there? Can you hear me? You good? Okay, not sure what happened there. But we're going to get together. The mentor is going to play a very significant role in the initial conversations, and we're going to have, you know, there isn't an exact template that we follow for every engagement. However, we're going to learn more about your business, and we're going to put the right people in place so that we can, you know, provide the right advice and the right group of people to give some feedback to you. So in regards to, you know, the ground rules, again, total confidentiality, full sharing of key business information. And I think the last point that I want to make is, you know, just like everything else in life, ANSB is very similar. You're gonna get, you know, what you put get out, what you put into it. You know, we've had some very, you know, very impressive clients in the past who you know, take this very seriously, and, you know, come to these meetings 100% prepared and as an open book, and share their concerns and really get the most out of this panel. And it's, you know, we're going to create some extra work for you indeed by, you know, giving some insight and having some homework for the business owner. And again, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And that was essentially all I think I wanted to cover. Is there one more slide, Therese?
I think
That's
not.
it.
I think it's right. I think we're making a transition, Tom.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
Thank
Good.
you. And you'll all have a chance to come back and ask Tom more later. I will say that because some of you many of our clients in the past have been graduates of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And for that reason, and also because we are a strategic partner of 10,000 small businesses, and so is PIDC, a strategic partner and a very close partner of the Goldman Sachs program here in Philadelphia. And because it's a great program for a great many businesses, we want to be sure and mention that here today. Some of you know Franne McNeal, who is the current executive director of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, and we have her picture here. Sometimes she can manage to be here today. She was at a command performance with Goldman Sachs in Washington, D.C. But we wanted to let you know that Franne is not only she's not only the executive director of a wonderful program that we want to bring to your attention, but she's also on the ANSB board. And the reason for that is that we at ANSB think many of her alumni are great candidates, that they're really ready and prepared to make the most of an advisory team and get their business to the next level. But it's also because Franne has seen a great many alumni who've gone through Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses and used an advisory team at the right point in time. And if she's here, she talks about how she's seen many of those Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business alumni transform what they're able to do because they have a group of people who are able to actually be with them as they implement a growth program. And you very much find that for an established small business owner, for a lot of the time you can do everything yourself or keep track of everything yourself. And it's when you start to be particularly successful that you can't do it all yourself. And if you want to grow, you probably want other people to help you. That often takes capital, takes some money, and relationships you haven't necessarily had before. It takes a lot of delegation. It takes management and management approaches. And I think we had someone earlier say that was what he was looking for, figuring out a way to put in place that infrastructure. We often see that's very helpful. And typically a year with an advisory team allows that business owner that's ready to take the step to actually put in place the foundation that allows them to grow dramatically. So I wanted to tell you that we work often with those alumni. I think we might have one or two Goldman Sachs alumni here. And for some of you, if you want to go back later, I would recommend that that's something that once you're in business for about 3 years and you have an employee or two, it's a great program and it's a great preparation. So you wind up having about a year and a half with Goldman Sachs and then with an ANSB advisory team. And it's a very powerful package. So that's a program for established businesses. You really have to be around for 3 years to be able to do that and to have achieved a certain scale. And it is an excellent program. So we will come back and answer more questions about that and at others. But I want to turn it over now to someone who's been there, done that. And Betsy McClarney has a fascinating company. She's on the board of ANSB, and I'm going to ask her to introduce herself and her company and talk about the entrepreneurial experience and why and how an advisory team might be helpful. Betsy?
Thanks, Therese, and Jasmine as well for inviting me to speak with all of you today. I'm very excited to share my journey. I have joined this business 25 years ago. My father actually started the business 31 years ago and was a sole proprietor. But as the business started to grow, I joined him and we substantially grew the business 5 times over in about a 15-year period. Between us, we ran the business very effectively, efficiently, but as we started to grow, we brought on more people. We had less solid processes in place, but we had a wonderful opportunity to continue growing with our partners. We are an advertising agency, a boutique advertising agency, known as a specialist in the business because we do strategic planning and buying of out-of-home media. Out-of-home media, best known formats are billboards, any type of signage, any type of transportation signage, whether you're in airports or train stations or commuter rail or even taxis and now ride sharing services. And anything outside of radio, TV, print, internet, and direct mail advertising falls into our wheelhouse. So you may be gassing up, you may be shopping at the grocery store, you may be going to the movies. All of that advertising that goes on in those types of venues are considered outdoor advertising or out-of-home advertising. And our work takes us across the country, and we also do some work both in Canada, Mexico, south of the border, Latin America a little bit, and also Western Europe. We actually can buy across the world. We would just be partnering with other agencies. So as a specialist, we tend to be wholesale to our industry, but we will work with brands direct, or we will work with brands direct with their internal marketing and creative teams, or we will work with their agencies, brands agencies, to help determine the most effective use of outdoor advertising to promote brand messaging, directionals. You all most assuredly have seen signs for McDonald's or Cracker Barrel that say next exit, turn right. That's typical outdoor advertising. They're called directionals. They could be promotional. messages. They could be recruitment messages, or they could just be establishing a new brand, service, or overall building up the credibility and reputation of their brand name, their company themselves, creating more brand fame. So that's what we do. And we were able to successfully grow that business very early on. Today, it's a multi-billion-dollar business worldwide, being influenced tremendously with digital technologies, both in the speed of trading, but also in networking across local markets, regional markets, national markets, and then worldwide. So it's an exciting time in our business. And it's been an exciting journey where I got to after 15 years, and what I think is relevant to our conversation today is we were growing so fast that I, as the owner, because I eventually bought out my father, took my eye off the ball in a number of arenas. I always had a sales and marketing background. So that's where I focused a lot of my time and energy. But meanwhile, my expenses were getting out of control. My staff was growing. I had everybody reporting to me. I needed better sales and marketing strategies that were prioritized. There were a number of issues starting to crop up as a consequence of being successful, but not laying that foundation, as Therese just mentioned, laying that foundation to really be able to scale your business. So I started that in 2014 by tapping a number of small business owners that I know, just casually saying, how are you managing your business? How were you able to scale and grow? And I got a lot of free advice, but some of the best advice I got was very similar to what Tom displayed in one of his slides there. Look to external consultants. Maybe you want to devise a board of directors or look towards some peer advisory groups. And in evaluating all of those options, I selected a peer advisory group that was comprised of 12 other business owners that were equally challenged to work on the business. All of us found ourselves buried in the business and trying to scale and grow. And so it was a very supportive group where we had a tremendous amount of trust. That confidentiality, the NDA that both Therese and Thomas have underscored, was very important to me in order to be able to be vulnerable and solicit the right feedback from other people who had similar challenges to me, even though they perhaps were in different industries. And I have to say, they really kicked my butt early on. And it was the best thing I ever did. Because once you realize that you do need the help and you have a trusted circle of advisors, you can only go up from there. And it really allowed me to scale my business for the next 5-6 years. And then, of course, COVID hit. But thank goodness I had such a good grip on my business. I knew how to pivot quickly. I also had that circle of trust and support of other business owners that we all were able to talk to one another, ask what they were doing, share some of the best advice we were getting through other networks that we had. I also joined an agency peer advisory group. So that was also very valuable to me during COVID and even beforehand, and is still the advisory group that I belong to I belong to it today. Because I get so much value out of speaking to other agency owners across the country They're small to medium-sized business owners. So we have different challenges than the Fortune 1000s or even the larger concerns out there. But, you know, they all do fall into the same buckets, whether it's personnel, HR, operations, sales, marketing, strategic planning, financial, whether you're looking for lending services or, you know, how to structure your books. What are your benchmarks? You know, all of you should know what your numbers are, and you should know what numbers, when you start to see a trend developing, is that a good trend or a bad trend? Do I need to start prioritizing that trend that you're seeing? And numbers are the first place that don't lie and that you really need to be evaluating. And I'll be honest with you, I was not the strongest financial evaluator of my business. I did not have benchmarks in place. And that was where I really got my butt kicked. But again, it was the best thing for me. I've learned so much. I have people I can rely on, not only on the financial side, but across the business to help me continue to scale the business and help me get back on my feet after COVID hit. Because during COVID, most people weren't outside for 3 months. So the value of outdoor advertising was questioned. And then we do a lot of work around event marketing, meaning trade shows, conventions, sales conferences, fairs, festivals, music concerts, things like that. All of that came to a screeching halt within a 30-day period, which anybody in my business had never even experienced. So it was a time of pulling together, evaluating our businesses, pivoting quickly, and having the sounding board that, once again, Tom mentioned, is so valuable during such a critical period of time. And I can say that we are back on a very strong growth trajectory again. And I feel like I was better prepared for an external event that nobody could foresee would impact their business. I was better prepared than I would have been if I'd kept going at the rate I was. So with that, I'm sure you all have some questions for me. I'm happy to answer them, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you so much, Betsy. Oh my
Sure.
goodness. Did you keep, wow, I have lots of questions too, but do we have anyone of our participants who would like to raise a question? Can you raise your hands?
Therese,
Yes.
we do have a question. Let me turn on my video. We have information, and let me know if you haven't already shared this. It's ask if we can share qualifying requirements for GS 10,000 program.
Okay, let me share it. We have a slide at the back. This is the requirement. So we expect you to be in business for 3 or more years, and Goldman Sachs actually does as well. You need to have employees, and if you're a service business, annual revenues of 250,000 plus, manufacturing 400,000 plus, and you have to be coachable and growth minded. I will say that if you don't meet these, but you're planning to, we can probably help you devise a way to get there and find some programs and people that can help you get there. We do, this is all at the back end, but let me mention it. We do have some fees. All of our team members and all of our board members are volunteers, but we do need some funds to cover our administrative expenses. So our Zoom budget, our accountant, and so on. So at the moment, these are our fees that depend on how much revenue a company has. Okay, does that answer the question?
Yes, Therese, it looks like Glenn has one more question. He has his hand raised. So Glenn, you should be able to unmute.
Betsy, great job sharing your challenges and especially during COVID. I guess the one question that I struggle with every day is, how to overcome just being overwhelmed. And I think you've accomplished that. So I guess at what point did you realize, I mean, I've realized for quite some time already, yes, I need help. And I think it was you, Therese, that mentioned it's not just human capital, but it's also capital, as in dollars. So in order to get the human capital, you need the dollar capital.
Yep.
So Betsy, at what point did you just wake up one morning, or maybe not sleep one night, and say, you know what, I need help, I can't do this alone? And every entrepreneur goes through that. So, and granted, you walked into a business that had been in existence for quite some time, so it's a little bit different than a startup. But if you could just share some thoughts on at what point you made that decision, and how you went about finding the right help. And I think you just explained that pretty well already. So I'll leave it to you to kind of explain, your aha moment, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I definitely hit a wall. Like if you're feeling like you're hitting a wall and you need more advice than what you're getting from either people you trust in your business or even other business owners that like you need to do a deeper dive, right? But they're not, I mean, you trust them, but you really have to be able to open up about your business for others to really be able to help you. And you can do that either through a consultant, which is paid, right? Or through a board of directors, which then you have to recruit. Or you can join different organizations. There are a handful of them that offer peer advisory groups. And ANSB, the reason I joined their board, and I've also been part of their panels, a couple of their panels in the past, is because they really work with those that are starting up or young businesses that are trying to figure out, who do I turn to? Where do I find these resources? And I wasn't familiar with ANSB. It was quite the investment, whether I was going to go in any one of those routes. Even the peer advisory route I went to, I would say the cost of that was substantially more than what ANSB is offering. And yet, regardless of the price, I mean, I was in a position where I needed that help so badly. I was willing to pay whatever I needed to. Regardless, you should do it for yourself. I mean, that notion of working on the business is what brings the highest value to your business. You working in the business at some point has diminishing returns. Not to mention, you can't be good at everything. You also come to that realization. It's like, and I know it today, I am not good on the HR side of things. I've done my best. I will continue to educate myself and do the best I can, but put me in front of a business prospect or, strategizing over our next direction we're going to head in marketing and selling our products and services. And I'm all over that. You naturally, as a business owner, are going to gravitate towards what you're good at. And yet you are responsible for all parts of your business. So, how do you elevate the right people to manage that part of the business? How good are you at delegating? What parts of your business do you really need to keep your eyes on that you may or may not be doing at this point? I mean, when I had 18 people reporting to me, that was a problem on many levels. For them, for me, there were just things not getting done. And when I walked into my first peer advisory meeting and they took a look at my financials and the way my management structure was, that's where they really started to provide some really strong feedback for me. They were willing to help me craft a new plan that would help me get to a point where I could delegate more effectively to the right people. And ensuring that you have the right people on your team is also really important, I will mention. You know, sometimes the people who got you to where you're at are not the right people to take you into the future. That's a really hard realization. And it's really hard to go through that process. So the people part is really tough. And all of you may or may not be feeling that at the point you're at. But that's where I probably felt the most needy, as well as on the financial side. I needed to have benchmarks. I needed to know what part of my financial statements do I really need to dig in on and pay a lot more attention to and look for the trends there. Those were probably the two key areas that I benefited the most from. And again, to your question, when do you know is the right time? It's when you're in agony, when you can't sleep at night. You know you're not doing your best job on all fronts, and you're looking for some advice. I have a really strong team. Some of my team members that are on my executive team now have been with me for 18 to 22 years. But I could tell, I knew what they were going to tell me. When I presented a problem, I could almost hear each one of them say to me, well, this is what I think. So I knew I needed some outside advice. And I sought it from people outside of even my industry initially, which I kind of look back on and I think, I'm not sure I would have done that way, but that was the first peer advisory group that I felt I could get what I needed from it. I hope that answers your question. It was long, sorry.
It does. And you know, I guess having come out of the corporate world, working for two major Fortune 50 financial institutions, and then, you know, doing what I've been doing on my own for so long, and now needing a team, and not being able to, or basically making sure that I don't wear all the various hats, has been an absolute struggle. So, and I mean, you know,
Well, I should.
Thomas, you work for PNC, you know, you've got a tremendous support team. Betsy, you've come from a different type of background, you know, but yet you just shared with us how you've got an executive team in place now that you can rely on, plus the advisory team that you've built. So
Yes.
basically know that I have to take those steps. And I come back to what Therese said with respect to need of capital. You know, I think it actually has to start there, especially as a startup.
Yeah,
So,
excuse me,
but thank you.
Glenn, you are just raising so many of the issues. And I want to thank you so much. Truly, we'd be happy to have an offline conversation later, and you can, you'll have access to our emails, both the ANSB and mine, if you want to have an offline conversation. That's for you and for everyone. I wonder, I want to ask, I know, thinking about some of the others, Cassandra, you were the first person on this call, on this webinar today. Do you have any particular questions or issues you'd like for some of our team to speak to more? And can we make it so that Cassandra can speak?
Sure.
Thank you.
And also I wanted to mention, Therese, we did have a question and a raised hand, a couple of raised hands when you're ready.
Good. Well, Jasmine, after Cassandra tells us what she's thinking about, why don't you move through them, because I'm not seeing everything. I see Thomas Wilchin.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you.
Sandra, if you're still on with us, you should be able to speak.
Okay, I'm still here.
Great.
Yes, many of the issues that you guys have been talking about are concerns for me. And trying to transition to the next level for me, capital is a real key thing. And that I found what Betsy said about people that are with you now may not be the ones that need to be with you going towards the future. That was very profound for me. So there are sales and marketing, startup capital, working on HR. So I have all those issues at this point that I would like to delve into deeper in terms of making this transition, because I'm trying to make 2 steps at once and it may be too much and I need someone to tell me, you know, just how I need to make that transition.
Great.
And do a better job than I'm doing. I was fortunate to be able to stay open through the pandemic. But, you know, enrollment is up and down, as I'm sure you can imagine. So there's definitely some financial issues going on there. But I want to take that next step, and a lot of things have happened, and, you know, it's, I need that help. I need that assistance and that insight to help me to make the proper decisions in moving forward.
Great. Maybe
So that's where I'm at.
Great. Maybe we can share that part of the way ANSB works is if an entrepreneur is interested in seeing, is this the right program and is it the right time? We spend a lot of time with you up front before you ever pay that fee. You only pay that fee when you've met your advisory team and you've approved every member of them personally. But way early on, we have some in-depth personal conversations. And then if it makes sense for the entrepreneur, and at this point for me, for the client relationship committee, we'd say, yeah, go ahead and fill out the application form for us. And then we'll put even more time into talking with you and seeing that ANSB is the right thing. So we probably spend between working with an entrepreneur to figure out, is this right? And if it is, what do you want from us? And then to put together the particular team, Tom actually heads up the group that puts together the particular advisory team. And I know what he's doing is having the entrepreneur talk with candidates personally, that we've used our network to say, oh, we think this is a great marketing person or a great accounting person. And the entrepreneur talks to them and gets feeling very comfortable with them before the team actually meets. So it's time consuming, but it's very educational. I will say that. Let's see. So Cassandra, as you can tell, listening to what Cassandra's saying and what Glenn's saying, when you're at the point that you're thinking about an advisory team, it's complicated. That's why you need a team of people who are working with you rather than just one person. And that's why we spend time with you up front, because personally, one-on-one, because it's complicated and you and we need to work through it together in order
Therese,
to find it. Yeah,
I would just say, you know, my advisory team was made up of other business owners.
Right,
With somebody who led that conversation. And it was one day a month.
Wow.
So it was a big commitment of time. And the difference for everybody who's on this call is you are the one and only business owner, with all the advisors looking at your business and working with you individually. And that is a big difference.
Yeah, it is.
Even a bigger difference is the value of the people that are on your advisory team. They have decades of experience in their expertise, at their level of expertise. And it's a tremendous support network, a circle of trust that you can count on. And you should be ready to go, go, go. During the year and even when you're done, your business should be taking off based on your ability to really focus with a trusted group of experts that can help you pinpoint where your priorities are and where you should invest your energy and time. It's a really important distinction. I was working with 11, 12 other people in my on the advisory team that I participated on. Your advisory team is selected, customized for you specifically to help you scale your business. I just wanted to be sure that that was clear.
Great, great. Is there another person with their hand up? Jasmine?
Yes, Therese, we do have Thomas who has a question. Thomas, you should be allowed to speak.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can.
Where'd that come from? So, hello everyone. Thank you for your help. So, I've been in business for 24 years, and since COVID, I'm starting over. It's been really hard. So, I feel trapped again, and I saw this. My daughter was one of the first groups through 10K when we first opened our second store. But now it's just me again. I'm 63. I don't know what to do. So I'm trying. I really want to make this work again. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. And Thomas, I know we should talk and see what pieces we can help you find. Jasmine, I noticed Vincent Lane seems to be on our participant list. I think we haven't met him yet. Is it possible to meet Vincent? And we have some more participants with raised hands. Over to you to manage it.
Of course. And Thomas, thank you so much for sharing that. We're so glad you joined us today. And just as a reminder for everyone, before we go to our next Q&A, we will be sending this information and follow-up information to you after this workshop. So you will receive follow-up information on all of the programs and the participants that we had today. Okay. Thank you. Next up, we do have a couple of people. We did see that Vincent did join us earlier, and I want to go to Lewis, who has a question after Vincent. Vincent, if you can introduce yourself and let us know if you have any questions as well.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Great.
Great, I'm glad you can hear me. I happen to be in somewhere where I can't speak real loudly, but hope you can hear me. I'm Vincent Lane. I'm with IVN Sound Communications, and I've been out here a minute, and like everyone else, I've hit that roadblock where I'm wondering which way to go: up, down, right, left, and particularly where I'm having challenges is in that accounting stage, that manage your money stage, that whole acquiring money is not an issue because I know how to acquire money, and I have the wherewithal to do that. But now it's once that money's in place, well, I'm not acquiring the right amount of money. Let me say that. I'm not acquiring the money that's needed to maybe take on an advisory board, but I need an advisory board to now help me get over that hurdle of COVID. And I'm surviving, but I want to do more than survive in this business. So, and I know that I can, but again, I'm challenged with having the entire staffing that I need and the funds to then provide for that staffing. So those are the challenges that I have. So I don't know. I'm a little perplexed at this point and a little frustrated at the same time. So I'm looking. I'm still digging. It's a road that I'm sure everyone else is going down as well. Are you there, guys?
We
Yes.
are.
Yes, we are. And you are not alone, Vincent.
I do know that.
So we'd be happy to, and I know our friends at PIDC will be too, to see if we can get you pointed in the right direction.
Yes, Vincent, I will share some information as mentioned after this workshop, which will include information about ANSB as well as PIDC's workshops and upcoming opportunities for you to receive funding and other resources for your business. So you're not alone, and we're here to help.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Happy to do so. All right. Well, we will move on to, we see that Lewis, you had a question. You are able to unmute and speak.
Now that everyone's sharing, I might as well jump in, right?
Yes, go right ahead.
So my question is, so are we all going to know who everyone is here collectively, or are we kind of, because like I say, I can't see anyone, and I know that's the basis of the Zoom. So because there was a gentleman who I know, so we're over here sharing, he's sharing, I'm going to share too. So
For sure. And to answer your question, Lewis, everyone is able to, include in the chat box. Of course, we all introduced ourselves, but please do. This is a great time to network. Please include all of your information, website, contact information, name in the chat box. You now have access to that. We are not preventing you from doing so. So please network away. That is what this is for. And of course, we will be sending up some follow-up information to you after this, but feel free to introduce yourselves or say anything additional before we leave. You have extra time with us. We don't end until 2:30.
okay, great.
Mhm.
So in my particular situation, I'm in a good space. We're very profitable the past couple of years. I'm in a good space, but at the same time, you talk to some advisors here and there, and it's all about growth, 10K SB, PIDC, about growth. So me as the company is pretty good in this space that they are in, but at the same time, I'm in this business. Why not take it to the next level? Why not be the best version of Torado Construction that it can be? But at the same time, I'm in a good space, and why can't I just leave it right where it is and just polish where I am today as far as revenues, growth, sales, and efficiency, and just tweak in on that and focus on that. But it just seems like everyone says that's great, but you still have to grow.
Yes,
that's where
Tom, do you want to comment on that? I have a comment later. You look like you've met people thinking that way.
Sure. I mean, Lewis, you mentioned you're in the construction business, correct?
yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like you've built a fine business, and you're obviously doing something right if you've lasted this long, right? So, I mean, that's the great, the great part about being a business owner. I mean, you get to call the shots. I mean, obviously, growth, the growth mindset is where a lot of people want to get to. But I have some clients who they're perfectly happy, maintaining where they are. And there's
Right.
no, I mean, there's everybody's going to have a different set of circumstances, a different set of guidelines and strategies that they want to play by.
Right.
So,
At the same,
happy to have another conversation with you offline if you'd like.
yeah, I mean, at the same time, I've been fortunate that I work also as a subcontractor. So I've been in a lot of general contractors' offices, and I see the big ones, the small ones, the ones in between. So over the years, over the 25 years of experience, I kind of really know what I think Torado construction should look like, just
Right.
based on experiences. So that's where I guess.
And you've also probably seen a lot of businesses that maybe grew and expanded too quickly.
Yeah, I've seen do it all. I've seen business fold. I've seen offices just too top heavy. I said, there's no way they're making money here. And then it happens. And, but I have to worry about where Torado construction is. I have employees who I care about dearly. They're my people. So it's all about it's not just about me anymore. So I have to circle the wagon and figure out what the future of Terrata construction can look like.
Yeah, I would say as well, I'm totally with Tom on, I knew it when I saw his smile as you were speaking, Louis. You are the person who should decide what you want your company to look like.
Right.
And whether you want to grow. And a strong company, maybe what you want is to use, and you could use an advisory team if you want, but no need. If you've got a great company, enjoy it, totally enjoy it. If you are looking at your people and saying, gee, I'd like it to be more sustainable in some way, or I'd like a check. I'd like some people who've seen other businesses to spend a year with us and just see, are there some places where we could make our business more sustainable, or where there's some, I'm thinking about a construction-oriented team that I was on a while ago, where one of the members was a construction expert CPA, and he just knew as soon as he could look at that CEO's, both their financials and at their processes, and he could just say, here's a process you really need to put some time into. It'll change your life. And it took a while to help that entrepreneur learn the process, understand it, and really implement it. But after most of a year, it changed the business and just gave the CEO confidence. So sometimes that can be very helpful. And some people will say, you know, I just want to get some other people's eyes on it. I will say that for people in your situation, one of my colleagues often says, you know, it's like deciding whether you're going to lose weight or not. You really have. It's an investment. It takes commitment. You usually think about it for a while. And
Correct.
someday you say, yep, I'm going to put the effort in.
Okay. Thank you.
I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, no, it's definitely helpful. Like I said, I want to have, you know, we are in a good space, but I want to see if there is an opportunity to make it a better version of that same space. Or maybe it says, well, why did you think of this or think of that? It's when you're the owner and you don't have advisors, you're thinking, you know, all your answers are to yourself and questions are to yourself. There's no there's no external input where someone else could see something that you're just have a little bit of.
Yeah, so I would ask you the question as you're thinking about it. And think about, are there some types of people that we could use our network to help you work with, who you really would like to have eyes on your business as volunteers who want to help you and help you do what you want to do.
Right.
And if you come up, if the answer to that question is, gee, I can think of a few different people like an accounting and management specialist or an HR person, or, you know, someone who knows more about working with the minority certifications, whatever it is. If you come up with the answer, yeah, I think I could really use that, and I'm ready to put time in to listen to them, then give us a call.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, Louis. Thank you for those questions.
Sure.
All right. And as we're moving forward, I also want to thank those who are networking in the chat box. Please feel free to do so. If you can leave your name, your company, where we can find you, and how people can get in touch with you, that would be great, because we want to continue these relationships outside of just this workshop. And as mentioned, as a reminder, we will be following up with all of our participants' information for our panelists. And I also want to ask the panelists if you could share your information in our chat for those who would like to follow up directly with you, if you would like to do so. And I'd like to go on to our next raised hand. That comes from Bridget. Bridget, you should be allowed to talk. You can unmute for us.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We can. Go right ahead.
So I just wanted to tell everyone, thank you for your stories, because I've been in like a really dark space with being in business. Like I said, for the last 10 years, I feel like at this point, I'm supposed to be buying a building. I offer high quality childhood education, but it's very challenging. I'm in a area where it's like different cultures and it's, a lot of different things going on, but I still just keep pushing through with everything. But very, very stressed on making sure you keep up with the taxes, because we are funded through the state, and the state provide our payments, and they don't take out the taxes, so you have to be on that. So I just am looking for somebody to just come in, like everybody said on here, and just try to like help me go in the right direction, because I don't want my business to turn out to be like a mom and pop business. I want it to be very successful. I want it to be bigger, because I feel myself and my staff that get out of our beds every day to make sure that we're educating children. And sometimes this area where the children are coming to school, not the actual area, but I'm just saying in school in general, is where the children like mainly feel safe and different things. Sometimes it might be the only place where they have a good meal, or they're in a safe and nurturing environment. So just hearing everybody on here today kind of like gave me some type of hope, because I'm not the only one going through challenges right now financially with the business. So I appreciate you guys, and I just need help all around the board, because as everyone knows, like I said, with COVID, it changed everything. And as the other young lady on here said, with enrollment, it can go up, it can go down. 1 month you can make 50,000, and the next month you can make 2,000. So childhood is very challenging, and I have another business, but I don't want to jump onto that until I actually grasp this one and have this one under control.
Oh, great. Do we have any more hands up, Jasmine?
So we do not have hands up at this moment. However, we did have a participant join us, and I'd like to give that participant a chance to speak. I want to make sure I correctly say your name. Excuse me if I don't, but Leyland or Leyling, you're allowed to speak. Hi, we can hear you. It's just a little low.
You can hear me? Sorry.
I can
good
hear
afternoon.
now. Good afternoon.
How's everyone doing today? Sorry, I came in late and I was like, I don't want to miss this. Well, my name is Laline. I'm always trying to learn because I'm new as a entrepreneur. I want to what I did before but was unsuccessful, and I was giving up, to be honest with you. So I was like a lot of my friends from Thailand and Vietnam. Actually, I'm from Cambodia, and a lot of my friends, they say, Laline, come on, do something like import, export, this and that. I was busy working Monday to Friday, and I don't have anybody to help and coach, and so I did it on my own, and I failed. I failed, and then I lost a lot of money, and then I was like, oh no, let me learn. This time I have to see if I can learn from the expertise from different company, learn to listen to what they're doing, so I can use that skill to maneuver it again. So that's about it. I coming in just to hear everyone, the pro and the con, what I need to know, what I don't, so who can help me. So it's always good thing to learn. That's what I believe in.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We're so happy you joined us. It doesn't matter what time. We're happy to have you here with us. And I hope that you had a chance to view our chat box and get information for the participants that were here before, so that you can connect with them and also connect with our speakers who have shared their contact information in our chat box as well.
Sure. I want to know, see if I need help with like the import export from Asia to United States. Because a couple of manufacturers asked me that to help to sell some product, and then I was thinking to do the e-commerce thing to sell their product. I'm using the URL from Vietnam and Cambodia and Thailand.
Very interesting. You're going to need some technical help there.
Yes. So I already have people
good.
from Vietnam to create the website, and in Cambodia and Thailand. So that's what I did. I'm going to create one website in the United States.
Excellent. And we're great. I want to mention, for all those of you who are getting started in your businesses, there's a wonderful program called Power Up. And
Yes.
Jasmine, maybe you could include the link to that when you send the follow-up email. Power Up is a program that is very good for supporting business owners who are at an early stage. It's here in the city, and it's supported, I know, by PIDC and by community college. And so if you're at a very early stage, I'd encourage you to take a look at that program. And also, of course, we'd be happy to talk with you. I
Okay.
wonder, Jasmine, do you think it's time to move to our last slide, which is how to get started?
We certainly can. It is 2:30, so I understand if anyone does need to hop off, but we are almost done. Go
We
right
are.
ahead, Therese.
So you'll get a copy of this, but if you're interested in maybe thinking about some of what we've talked about for bigger growth firms, you could visit our website. And there's even a preliminary application, which takes all of about 3 minutes to complete. And one of us will get back to you immediately. Or you could email one of us from the emails in the chat, or my email is right here, a little bit below it. We also have a virtual meet and greet because of COVID and so on. We're going to do our meet and greet virtually in January, and you can sign up. It's of course free, and there's the link, which you'll have. And then finally, I wanted to be sure that each of you has access easily to find out more about the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. So if you're thinking, oh, I've really done pretty well, I have an established business, but I want to kind of get more foundation under me, looking at 10KSB is a great way to do it, and a great way to get ready to make the most of an advisory team. So I want to thank you all on behalf of ANSB, and I know on behalf of PIDC. We're really happy to meet many of you for the first time today, some of you for repeat. And Mike Pietro, I remember talking to you a couple months ago, so I'm so glad to hear you're proceeding and growing and doing wonderful things. We're thrilled to have you. And for those of you who aren't quite ready for an ANSB advisory team, we look forward to seeing you when you are. And we'd be happy to be in touch. You can complete that preliminary application or send one of us an email, and we'll direct you to something, as will PIDC. Anything else I've missed, Jasmine?
I think we have everyone. We have all of our questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And I want to give a huge thank you to our panelists for today, our speakers, Betsy, Thomas, and of course, Therese, a really good partner who's been working with us for a few years now. And we're so happy to have all of you all join us. Thank you to our participants for all of your great questions. I see that a lot of you are looking for support and help, and ANSB will be a great opportunity for that. In addition to that, I did put some very helpful links to the information we referred to today in the chat box, so please feel free to save that information. I will follow up with an email this week with a follow-up, including our details on the programs that we discussed and contact information for our speakers. So if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with us anytime. And most importantly, we want to make sure that this information gets out to the hands of those who need it the most. So if you have any friends or other business owners you know, please encourage them to sign up for PIDC's upcoming Business Builder workshops. The links to that is in the chat box as well. And we do have another ANSB information session coming up next year. So please be sure to tell your friends to attend that. Once again, thank you so very much for coming, everyone. And I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll be in touch.